home for podcasts and original music.
The Zagnif One Radio Network.
Hey, how's everybody doing? It's your boy, Mr. Fingers, coming to you live from Zagnif Central with your NCAA Week 5 in review. Friday night, I laid some games out for you to watch. Let's see how they went, shall we? Let's travel to College Park, Maryland, where the Terrapins welcome the Hawkeyes of Iowa. Rumor has it from some undisclosed sources that the Prince George's County Police Department is still taking statements from witnesses for the massive assault that took place. Final score, Iowa 51, Maryland 14. Iowa racked up 429 yards of total offense, held Baby Tua and the crew to 271. Iowa easily rose to a victory. The Hawkeyes are now number 3 in the nation, and they will be welcoming Penn State to Iowa City for their weekend's game this Saturday. Next game, Ohio State and Rutgers, another massive assault. Not a huge difference in the scores from the previous game. 52-13, this one, Ohio State over Rutgers. The Scarlet Knights starter, Noah Vedral, it got ugly quick. He threw 3 picks. He got replaced by 3 other people. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. 4 whole quarterbacks in this game, and Ohio State still easily rolled over them. Ohio State definitely looking much improved after their loss to Oregon. Jumps 4 spots to number 7 in the poll. Speaking of Oregon, the Ducks could not catch a break. 31-24 is how it wound up, going with Stanford on top. There was a controversial defensive holding penalty at the end of the game. As you know, you cannot end the game on a defensive penalty, so Stanford was allowed 1 untimed play at the end of the game. They had already driven 86 yards down the field. They were given 1 untimed play, which allowed them to tie the score and force an overtime. And Oregon was unable to score after Stanford scored a touchdown first in overtime. So there you have it, 31-24. Oregon falls 5 spots to number 8. And they're taking on Cal this week. Moving on to our next game. Locally here, more so south of here, down in Norman, the Sooners take on K-State. Let me tell you, I watched a little bit of this game. It took the Sooners offense a whole 3 quarters to wake up, but when they did, boy, it was a barn burner because it was a 45-point shootout between the 2 teams. Sooners on top, 37-31. They remain undefeated at 5-0, and they didn't move up or down the polls. They're still at number 6. This coming Saturday is the Red River rivalry at the Cotton Bowl, where the Sooners take on the Texas Longhorns. Keeping things local here, let's go a little north to Stillwater. Oklahoma State comes up on top of Baylor, 24-14. Baylor falls completely out of the rankings. Oklahoma State winds up shooting 7 spots up to number 12. We're going to move on to our next game. This one was a little bit of a shocker for a few folks. Cincinnati rolls into South Bend and breaks Notre Dame's 26 home game winning streak with a 24-13 win. The Irish still struggling to overcome. They've got their record so far is 2-6. Since Brian Kelly took over, they are 2-6 against top 10 ranked teams. Keeping this thing moving. You know what? We're just going to keep this thing moving before I have to do another take. This one is from the We're Sneaking Up on You category. SMU, former powerhouse, got into a little trouble. They were a disgraced program. They are starting to sneak up on us very quietly, ladies and gentlemen. They enter the polls the first time this season at number 24 after they go and whoop up on South Florida. And they played in Dallas at Ford Stadium. That is all I got on that one. So we're going to keep this one moving. Big Blue Nation came through in big fashion last night to support the Wildcats, who wound up upsetting the Gators 20-13. I would make jokes, but my dogs are still undefeated, and I don't want fate to come around and kick me in the butt. So Kentucky moves to number 16 and Gators slide to number 20. Next week, Kentucky takes on LSU, and the Gators take on Vandy. Moving on to our next game. Auburn, this was a late night game. I don't think I saw much of it other than the kickoff. Auburn winds up edging out LSU 24-19. The Tigers move to number 18. This week, they welcome the University of Georgia to Jordan-Hare Stadium, which leads me to this was my projected game of the week. I really expected it to be better than it was. And to be completely honest, it wasn't. Arkansas came into Athens to Sanford Stadium. They were ranked 8th. Everybody was saying they were going to give Georgia a run for their money. And what they did was they logged a whole 162 yards and they never saw the end zone. Final score, 37 dogs, Razorbacks 0. Zamir White came up big in this game. He didn't amass a whole bunch of rushing yards, but he had 2 rushing TDs, and he recovered a block punt for a 3rd touchdown. Arkansas winds up falling 5 spots to 13, and they're keeping their roadshow going. They're facing Ole Miss Stanford. As I previously mentioned, the Dogs are on their way to Auburn to take on the Tigers. Moving to our next game. This is the game that everybody just kind of thought was going to be a snooze fest because it's Ole Miss. It's Alabama. They're playing in Bryant-Denny. They're going to be playing Rammer Jammer and all of that good stuff. We thought this one was going to be a snooze fest, but it turned out to be one of the most entertaining games of the weekend so far, and the internet is all on fire. You want to know why? Because Coach Lane Kiffin came out in his pregame interview and he had this to say before the game. Boop.
Well, let's hope we didn't run out of pages. So here we go. Get your popcorn ready.
Well, what's the big thing?
Whoa.
Oh, say word? Well, apparently Bama didn't get any popcorn, but it definitely went and got some Wheaties because they steamrolled Ole Miss. Bryce Young, 20 of 26 for 241 yards, 2 Ds and a pick. And Brian Robinson, that boy is an absolute whole-grown man. 171 yards and 4 touchdowns. Nick Saban's unbeaten streak against his assistant coaches now is 24-0. The Tide are going to face Texas A&M next week. Texas A&M is on their own struggle bus right now. And Ole Miss and the Jiffy Pop Express, I know I said I wasn't going to make jokes, but I got to make at least one, go on to play Arkansas in Oxford. Other games of note. My beloved Savannah State Tigers are now 4-1 and undefeated in conference play. They traveled down to Frankfort, Kentucky, and defeat Kentucky State 21-17. This coming Saturday, they face Eskrine College in Savannah at T.A. Wright Stadium in a 6 p.m. Central kickoff. I know Savannah's on the East Coast, but I'm in the Central Time Zone. That's why I put the times where I can understand them. So just stay with me. We also misspoke last week on Friday. I did say that Jackson State was playing Alabama A&M. They are. It's just that game was not taking place yesterday. That game is scheduled to take place this coming Saturday. Thank you for playing and being patient. Moving on, we got a little game I like to call that I'm going to add a little segment that I'm going to call Simple Math. Addition and subtraction. Addition to the polls and subtraction to the polls. This week, Kentucky, Texas, San Diego State, Arizona State, and SMU. Welcome to the polls. And stepping away from the polls this week, Baylor and Texas A&M. And the most notable dropout of the polls this week, the Clemson Tigers, who were ranked number 3 coming into the preseason. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't believe I did it and I don't have to do another take. I am so marvelously happy. You all have a wonderful, good evening. Enjoy your weeks. We will be back on Friday with the Week 6 preview. Until then, this is your boy, Mr. Fingers from Zagnif Central, and I am out. Holla.
Be sure to like and subscribe for content and more
On your new home for podcasts and independent music.
on the Zagnif One Radio Network.